Good morning, everybody, and a very, very warm welcome to episode number 138 of Ask the Accountant Weekly Show. My name's Aaron Patrick. The date is the 23rd of June, 2025, and back, drum roll please, from his holidays is the one and only Johann. Johann, how has your week been out there in it seems like really nice weather, actually, or was it, did it get better for you? Go for it.
No, it was lovely last week. I'll be honest, getting off the plane in Edinburgh, 15 degrees and rain.
Pretty much same, right?
I mean, it woke me up. Then I had to sit in a car park in a traffic jam for 45 minutes or so because the Royal Highland Show happens next to the airport, and that was this weekend, which meant a busy airport plus a Highland Show with tens and tens of thousands of people coming and going caused a bit of a delay. Reality kicked in pretty bloody quickly, if I'm honest. But yeah, back in the chair, cracking on, lots to do. And I've only got a couple of days because I'm out for the rest of the week touring conferences. So all good. But how was your weekend? How was your week?
You're not going out there looking for, I don't know, boats or something? Or...
No. What, in London and Solihull?
They've got the Sunborn. I mean, you joked that you bought that when I was staying there. So no, it's been a good week. Everyone's been joking about how hot it is and everything else, but you know, I'm enjoying the heat. I'm loving it. You know, it's nice to be able to, you know, be warm in your own home for once and putting some heating on. So I'm loving it. You know, just looking at the utility bill and being really happy with myself. That's how I'm looking at it. So yeah, no, it's been good. Yeah, busy week. As we spoke off air and stuff. So yeah, it's all interesting. But we wouldn't be anywhere without our amazing community. And you're talking to one another. Do we even need a show? I suppose that's the question. The next question which we're looking at. We've got the bookkeeping superhero Natasha there. Good morning. Good morning to you. Hope you are doing well.
And 26.
I know, right? Early. And congratulations on your new podcast as well. I don't know if it's out yet or if it's just the first one's been recorded, but I know there was chatter around that one. So good luck with that one. Dave's here. Good morning, all. I hope you all had a great shiny weekend. You know what? Mine was shiny. Thank you for that, Dave. And I hope everyone else had a shiny weekend as well. I mean, yours was shiny looking at all the bumpers in front of you, right? While you're waiting in the queue for... go through. Louise Moore there. Good morning, Louise. Hope you're doing well. Cheryl Stone's good morning. A bit cooler than Mauritius. It is tiny bit, isn't it? Although the way you looked at social media, I'd say it was hotter over here than social media. There's more, there's so much complaining going on. So
the average temperature in Mauritius at this time of year is only 24, 25. So yeah, it was warmer here than it was in Mauritius.
You did have this opportunity to, you know, jump in a pool and swim.
And yeah,
you know, get the cocktails down you to cool you down. You know what I mean? Like that. That's what you.
Quite how you do it in Edinburgh.
Tim C says everyone who says morning before they start is cheating. Oh, controversial. I don't know about that.
Technically means Tim C wins because he was the first at 8:30. Because even Cheryl was 8:29.
Stephanie Marshall says good morning. Good morning to you. Paul says morning. Kirsty says good morning, everybody. And then Stephanie says morning to Tim. So I mean, when you have favorites, you have favorites. Do you know what I mean? Just because he's, you know, got a special C with his name doesn't mean that we should all bow down to him, but that's fine. That's fine. Weirdly chuffed. I beat Cheryl, said Louise Moore. Looking forward to seeing Gareth and Brian from Xenon today in Peterborough. Oh, have they got like a road show on or something? Or is
They're
it
at an event? Nice. I think I just saw on LinkedIn. Yeah.
Nice. Oh, good one. Oh yeah, she's off to the House of Lords. Good luck with that one. Hope that goes well. Tim C says good morning. Susan's there as well. Susanna's over there. Good morning. Good morning to you, Susanna. Hope you're doing well. Oh, this must be the date of the launch of the podcast. So what we got, a week today? Is that right? No, week and a bit today. So hopefully
week tomorrow.
Hopefully that goes well. Good luck with that one. And some of the guests you've already got on sounds like it's gonna be a cracker. So well done. Paul Ingram says good morning, everyone. Paul White says recorded 29.5 degrees in the home office with windows open and blinds closed this weekend. Perfect then, isn't it? That's exactly what you want. Ouch. Oh, and then Nicola Cobb, I like to call Nicola the Cobb, because she knows what a cob is. It says good morning as well, so good morning to you too. Right, okay, we've got to get cracking on here. First of all, apologies for being late. We were talking so much we forgot to actually attach our socials, so that's completely on me. All right, let's start with the first point of public service announcement. A little service called Zettel. You heard of it before, Jan? Heard of it?
Back in the day.
Yeah.
Remember back in the day when we used to shout about them and promote them to all of our customers?
They were quite good brand awareness for them, weren't they? You know, we saw
Zettel as it was in the back in the day.
Zettel, exactly. They were kind of going off the iPhone type idea, weren't they?
Yeah.
And in fairness to them, they were one of the first to come up with, you know, these really flashy integrated little payment solutions. You can connect your iPad and go down that route and all that sort of stuff. Loved it. Then they got bought out by PayPal, and then they dropped the I, and that was a sad day for everyone. What if I told you that the Zettel name is completely gone? R.I.P. Let's put one out for them.
I'm not fussed about the rebranding. That's not my issue with them. My issue is when they turned off that the Zettel Premium model.
Zettel Pro.
Without telling anybody.
Yeah.
And I had clients dependent on that software and I'm the guy that went in and, yeah, you're going to get this software, you can get the hardware, you're going to be able to barcode scan and, you know, stock control, blah, blah, blah. Like, I had a client threaten to take me to court after Zettel turned that feature off and that paid for subscription off because I'd misrepresented and missold the product to him. I hadn't at the time.
No, but that's
the product a year later.
You're the business advisor at this point, right? Like they're trusting you to find the right solution. Yeah.
And it's because of them we now put in front of people like 2 or 3 solutions for everything, because then it's their choice. We highlight the pros and cons, then it's their choice, because I'm not getting burnt like that again. Like we lost a good client over that, and had to deal with lawyers and solicitors and insurance companies because of that. Like, all right, it's an extreme reaction to them making a change, but yeah, got burnt, lesson learned. You can't control what they're going to do. So, yeah. And they really didn't care when I told them about the issues.
Yeah. And especially like with ever since PayPal's come along, it's just been problem after problem and issue after issue. And yes, they've got some nice things about this integration. They had the ability to integrate PayPal directly, and so there was like options where if you wanted
a more expensive solution.
Well, yeah, but what there was the option you could pay by PayPal, right? So the fee comes up, whatever the amount's going to be, and then you had the opportunity to just pay by PayPal there, and then there was that little things like that. And I imagine, you know, that extra funding was how they got the opportunity to have that all-in-one solution that I was playing around with and quite liked, right? Like there was that all-in-one solution. Don't need an iPad, don't need anything else. It's got 5G, 4G signal directly in, connects to Wi-Fi. In theory, it was an opportunity for you to do it. But again, like you said there, because it didn't have any of those pro features, because it didn't have any of that, it was really limited to what it was. And it was difficult for us to ever advise people or businesses to go out and use it, because you're almost stepping backwards from a decent EPOS solution, right? And it was really like problematic for our clients and everything else. And I just feel like it's a real shame, because I generally thought that having that iZettel kind of momentum and going through that, and a lot of come since then, right? I'm pretty sure they were first, and then it was Square, and then it was SumUp, and you know, and they kind of came afterwards. But then them two seem to have gone in a direction where they've started to innovate, and they're starting to do new things, and there was, you know, solutions coming through left, right, and center, and then iZettel had a great idea and a great concept, but I feel like it's just kind of, and I feel like this is kind of the end of the line for them. Now it's PayPal EPOS or PayPal point of sale, something like that. I can't quite know what the name is going to be.
I've literally got one client left on iZettel.
Really?
And that's because all he needed was a card reading machine that was on works on mobile networks, because he just does like farmers markets and Christmas markets and stuff maybe twice a month on average. He does like wooden chopping boards and stuff like that. Really nice stuff. Part-time. and he just needed to be able to take card because people weren't carrying the amount of cash that he was charging for chopping boards and stuff.
Probably leaves it in the van, right? And then he just picks it up when he needs it, sort of thing. Yeah,
exactly. And it worked a treat for him, and it still does. Like, it's still exactly what he needs. But anyone that wanted anything more, they've all moved of their own accord now. Most are on Sum Up, I think.
Yeah, and I know Zettel's approach, well, back when it was Zettel, were they going to partner with other EPOS solutions, and they were going to be, but that doesn't tend to work because all that does is add costs on, right? Like, yes, there was a cost to the Zettel Pro, but it was relatively affordable for the business of using it, right? It was, but then when you look at the other solutions they partner up with, well, you got to pay for that, and you got to pay for the terminal, and you got to, you add it up, you might as well go with, as Tim says, get a proper EPOS system instead of a cheapo iPad-based solution from a payment provider. Yep. So, yeah, like it was a shame because I loved the disruption they were making. Like that's what I loved about it. I love the fact that opportunity was there. No long-term contracts, like you said there. It's almost a pay-as-you-go solution, right? Yeah, there if they need it, and if they don't get charged for it, right?
Yeah, and when you're starting out or you're testing something, and even if you're just testing to see, like, all right, this was 5 years ago, but when you were testing to see, like, how receptive are my clients to card payments? Like, it was, and the reason I always liked Zettel was their card machine had a little screen on it, so you could see what you were tapping and going for. Whereas others were just like this puck, and you couldn't, like, how do I know?
The iPad, right? And they had to put the
there was weird and wonderful ways of doing things. But yeah, there's still people out there where Zettel will be the right solution for that bit of ad hoc stuff. But yeah, it's been a terrible experience dealing with them as a company and then dealing with PayPal on top.
Yeah, it's a shame, isn't it? A big shame. Because I was at a little craft fair thing the other day. We were actually there for a walk, and then we noticed it was there, and we just had a one round, and there was a dog shop. So we were like buying bits and stuff for the puppy and all this side of it. And at the end, like, I panicked. I was like, oh wait, I haven't got any cash here, but surely they're going to have some sort of card solution, right? But now it is that get the phone out and you can tap on there, but it doesn't. That's not a great experience for the in a pinch. Great, like I think back to what you were saying, like if it's a one-off every now and again for your your client there, actually the phone could probably work quite well for them, right? Because it's a one-off transaction, and they've sold the woodwork or something, and it's probably quite a chunky piece of change there. But when you're dealing with 10 a year, 15 a year, you know what I mean? Like having your phone as your way of that tap to pay on there just does it from an experience, but it just doesn't work, right? Like it's so cumbersome. So Zettel in that scenario, that thing would actually be quite good for them, right? They could just put the number in, press the thing, and again, it's pay as you go. They don't, if they don't do another show for the next 6 months, it doesn't matter, right? Like
and if you don't do many sales when you do the show, you're not upset about paying a monthly terminal rent and stuff. Like,
exactly.
I know the percentages are slightly high, but actually, for this, like for my client who uses it, it's a fraction. Like, he spends a fraction on those payment fees than he would if he had to rent the terminal and then pay payment fees on top, even though they look really low. You've not taken into account the monthly rent of that terminal that when you're not using it. Whereas if you've got a shop and you're doing sales all day, every day, of course, 30 quid a month isn't an issue for monthly rent.
Yeah. And especially if in the hospitality world, right? Like it pays for itself just by having the opportunity to sign on and sign off your staff or whatever other functionality that comes with it, right? Because they build that into it, don't they? So yeah, it's a shame, but I suppose it's the way of the world, isn't it? When that purchase came through, it was kind of a we'll see what's going to happen here, but we weren't confident that this was going to be a right way, and I feel like we, when we looked in our TV,
we were proven right.
Yeah, unfortunately. Stephanie says we moved our last client from Zettel a couple of months ago. Be interested to know where you moved them to, Stephanie. Do let us know. Paul says most of my clients are more concerned about the percentage fees and choose either sum up or low pay. Oh, they go. See, is it the percentage fees? I don't think my clients care too much because they know they're going to have to pay a percentage, right? And what is the percentage there. I feel like it's more functionality. Honestly, when I was passing over the Zettel terminal, it was selling like hotcakes for them because it was just a nice piece of kit, right? And that kind of helps with it. And then when you gave them that like quite cheap at the time, like cheaper sum up one instead, there's that always winning each and every time. Now they've kind of got a comparable. There's like a sum up terminal as well and a square terminal. But yeah, Tim C says recommendations from me, not an ad. Have a look at TO. I think we've got to get a video on the Ask the Accountant channel of EPOS solutions, because that is a video that did really well for me. So we'll reach out to you, Tim, and maybe that's the reason we finally get to go to the island. Stephanie says sum up, although most are on Square. Well, I suppose you're mainly Xero, isn't it? So Xero and Square have a nice integration, don't they? And Zettel and QuickBooks have a nice integration. Sum up, unless you go via Goodtill, which is their who therefore is quite tricky to get that connection working. Looking who we can move to Adfin currently. Oh, wicked. Have they got a terminal? Is this breaking news?
No, but you can email a payment link
and then go through that. Yeah.
So I've got clients who we're talking to about Adfin and going, look, guys, just log in here on your mobile phone, put the amount in, email it to your customer, like you've just been in and done the boiler service or something, and get the payment nice and easy.
Loving that. Speaking of videos, I sat down and did a video over the weekend, all thanks to, and it's a bit more of a shout than anything else, I was on Donna's Confessions of Accountants over the coming week. So really enjoyed going on there, and I spoke all about AI in the practice and how we're using it and what we're using it for, and trying to go down that route and everything else. Really enjoyed. Good conversation, although I did completely mess up as I forgot that it was only a 20-minute talk, and half an hour in when I was like, maybe I should wrap this one up. Oops. But it was good to have there. But one of the bits that I was talking about, and it's more of a conversation than anything else to kind of bring in, was how ChatGPT has absolutely nailed the ability of you just getting data. So think about your data sources like eBay and rental statements. And in my case, what I did was I actually downloaded, using the sample company, downloaded the banking transactions that hadn't been posted yet. I downloaded all the banking transactions. I sent it to ChatGPT. I said, here's a breakdown of what our current trial balance looks like, some current nominal ledger, to give you a bit of an indication of what categories we've got and where we're posting things to and all that sort of stuff. And I went, ChatGPT, go and create me a file that I could re-upload to QuickBooks and basically do the bookkeeping for me. And obviously from a quality and accuracy point of view, I wasn't all that impressed, right? Which we've got to teach these things, and like anything, you've got to kind of find ways to teach where you would put stuff and all that sort of stuff. So I'm less worried about that bit. But what did impress me was just how simplified it was in terms of, okay, here's the file. And in fairness to it, it didn't get the file right for straight away. When I tried to import it, it came up with an error message. But when I copied that error message and posted it back to ChatGPT and said, look, I've got this error message, what do you want to do about it? And this is all on the video if you want to see kind of the process I did. It came back to me and went, oh yeah, sorry, good point there. Here's a new file, called it update. I then re-uploaded it through the update, and it just filed it. And I think when we're talking about reasons to get excited about implementing AI and stuff like that, obviously we've got to think about what data we're putting up there. We've got to don't just do this to a normal chat GPT, make sure you do it to business and all that sort of stuff. Like, you've got to be sensible and you've got to be ethical about what you're doing with the data. But just little things like this is where we just need that way to hook people in, don't we? Like, what's your use case of using it? A long time ago, it was, or to say a long time, a couple of weeks, months ago, it was the making a thing of yourself, right? Of an action figure of yourself, right?
Yep.
If we can just get accountants and bookkeepers and business advisors just come in here and just, get an eBay statement, for example, or whatever it is, upload it and convert it into something that they're going to be able to put into their bookkeeping, that is an easy way to win people over. Okay, this is why it's going to be. And yeah, I was blown away by just how easy that is, because that whole thing of getting data, converting it, putting it into a friendly format, that was my, start of my YouTube career, because I literally had a video of how to do it, put it in through there, go through these steps. I then offered them a conversion tool, and it was an Excel spreadsheet, but it was dump the data in the left and it came in on the right, sort of thing, right? That used to be a whole rigmarole, a whole pain point, a whole like frustration that it was, and we were relying on third-party apps to kind of connect, and then those broke, and there was all sorts of things, right? But if we could just see these little things like get ChatGPT and use it for things like this, where we're just solving those pain points, that's when people are getting confidence, right? For a bit. And especially if the Jaxes of the world and stuff like that can start doing that for us. Like, you're in your product, speak to Jax, it'll tell you what font's just been released, great. You ignore that bit, but then you go in and ask it, can it convert XYZ? That's when we're going to get the buy-in, right? Have you ever used it for anything like that before?
Yeah, so we use ChatGPT a lot in our firm. Well, at my level, kind of my team, my level of my team, we do. So we use it to do an initial review of accounts. We use it to do an initial review of a tax return. So obviously, before people start panicking about GDPR and stuff, I pay for the Teams package in ChatGPT, which means it doesn't learn from it. It doesn't store it. No one can see what I'm doing with it.
Ring-fenced, isn't it?
It's completely ring-fenced and safe. So yeah, we use it from that point of view quite a lot, and it gives us a really good starting point. Or new client comes to us, we use ChatGPT to give us a bit of a head start in researching them and understanding their business and their financials and stuff like that. So we kind of come up with like a mini briefing for their new client manager.
Yeah. So
they've got key things to be aware of. Not used it for bookkeeping or anything like that yet. But we're basically, I'm paying like 25 quid plus VAT a month for each seat on ChatGPT. So I'm going to be stingy and want to get the best return out of that. The people that are sat doing the review of the accounts and the review of the tax returns cost me a lot more money than the people that are processing the bookkeeping and stuff, because they're normally higher level, higher qualified accountants and stuff like that. So I'm targeting them first with how I can make their workload more efficient so that I can save more money there, and then I'll trickle it down to all the other levels and work out ways I can start saving more money there. Like we used to, when we started doing things like document processing tools like Apron and Dex and stuff, we rolled it out to the big clients first because it's like, right, I can save hours here. And then, we're now looking at how can we save a few seconds on each job now with the tools like that, just to try and keep that saving building. So I always go for the big fish first, and then, try and find my biggest savings possible. And then I roll tools down to try and find smaller savings once I've got the bigger savings out of the way of. But yeah, like ChatGPT is fantastic for that.
I wonder though, at what point are we going to get a conflict of, because like straight away for me it was, okay, I get why this is working, that's it, but should I be using Copilot Finance for this? Because Copilot Finance would surely be even better at doing, because it is like purely number focused, right? That's what it does, that's what it kind of looks at. And then I'm thinking, well, then that works, but what about when Intuit Assist, Jax, whatever the others are, like Sage Copilot, right? Like surely they're the ones we should be relying on and should be coming forward. And I just kind of, it's almost like, are we almost putting our flag too soon into what, because it's going at such a rate, this, right? There's so much
as early adopters, that is our habit, is to put our flags in too soon.
True.
But when I'm looking at them, I'm trying to take the same approach to AI as I take to every other software we look at.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be ideally we want one tool that does the majority, right? We want a generalist tool.
Yeah.
ChatGPT is that tool for us, because not only does it do like bookkeeping and accounts reviews and whatever else we want it to try and teach it to do, but it helps recraft emails. It helps create template emails. It helps create template standards of service and letters of engagement and whatever else we need it to do. It helps with that. Whereas if I had to go, right, what task am I doing? And then which AI is best for that task? I'd rather one that's better at 80% of the tasks or can do 80% rather than having 5 that can only do 20% and I have to work out which one I'm logging into each time.
Yeah.
But it's very much a case of just because we are early adopters, you and I are fully aware. We'll put our flags in the ground for now. They could move. Like,
yeah,
I put my flag in the ground with Claude, note recording and stuff. Now, I'm currently reconsidering, is ChatGPT now good enough to replace that? On my desktop, it is. Having said that, it's not on my phone yet. So it's not ideal. So there's still a place for Claude in my setup for now, but that's going to be ever changing. Like it's like Android and Apple. There used to be apps that would screen your call and tell you who it is, or flag it if it was spam or anything. Apple and Android have that built in now. They warn you if they think it's spam. So those generalist tools like ChatGPT will, if they don't do something specialist yet, they probably will in the future. So if you're happy to wait for that little functionality, then that's okay. Or you find a solution, a temporary solution to cover you for now. So I've got Claude for now.
Yeah.
But I'm in no doubt that in the coming months, the ChatGPT app on my mobile phone will be upgraded to be able to record meetings and phone calls and go from there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, if you're an early adopter, just constantly reviewing your tech stack. Like anyone, it doesn't matter whether you're an early adopter and you're happy to take the risk of tech starting and failing on you and stuff. You should always be reviewing your app stack. Like we review ours constantly in my firm, and I just, as an early adopter, have to keep being very aware and on the pulse. Like you and I are constantly messaging saying, "Did you see this update?" So, like Friday, Oakley announced Meta glasses.
Yeah.
Did you see the update? What do you think? What's the benefits, pros, cons, etc.? It's resulted in us going, it's brilliant. It's doubled its battery life. Brilliant. It's now got 3K video instead of 1080p. But actually, that's not enough to justify the move.
Yeah.
So it's just constantly being adapting and evolving and taking that stuff into account rather than going, no, that's my choice. I'm going to die on this hill.
I completely agree, but I think me and you, we adapt, and we change, and we move. And I mean, I'll always bring this up to you, and it's a point of contention for me. But what was it? 2 years ago, you were an Android user, right?
Like 3 or 4 years ago, for like 6 months.
Still not over it, right? I'm still crying myself to sleep over it. But I think me and you, and a lot of people on this call, on this chat, right? Like, we're easy to adapt, and that's kind of one of our strengths, right? Like we're happy to trial something and try and get, we like playing with these things, and we generally enjoy trying these things out, right? But that's a different story to implementing something in your firm that your whole team's got to adopt and your whole team's got to learn, because there's going to be people in that team who don't like change, don't like chopping around, right? And I feel like that's something that what I'm acutely aware of at the moment is, like, whatever solution we're going to go for isn't about what I'm enjoying or what I'm like getting the most out of at the moment. It's what's the less friction that I'm going to implement to the team so that they can get the most out of it and everything. And like you were already saying, like getting that return on investment on the X amount per seat or whatever the costs are going to be, right?
So that's why we've also, like, back in the day, I would have rolled out a software overnight to my whole team. And they would have been a bit sweary about it.
And then everyone had your hairstyle because they're all pulling it out.
Whereas now, like, I've been using ChatGPT for 18 months in my own workload. It's only in the last few months I've started introducing it to my team.
Yeah.
Now, like, maybe 6 months ago, I introduced Copilot to some of my team, my client managers, to help them, because that was helping them with emails and stuff, and that was great.
And in fairness, you had a spare seat that you didn't know what to do with.
Yeah. But now I'm rolling out ChatGPT to some of my my leadership team, because it's more general. We need a more general thing rather than just email rewording and stuff. But yeah, everything gets tested by me, but then we look at how we roll it out gradually, so that it's not just right, we've now rolled this out after Johann had a bit of a weekend playing with it. Oh, and 2 weeks later, we've now scratch that, guys. We've changed our minds. So we have learned a process from my magpie syndrome of still shiny things, so that the team isn't impacted. But yeah, don't just because you've chosen a tool today, roll it out to everyone. Work it in your own workflows, then pass it on to the people that you know are a bit more change adaptive and tech savvy. And then if it's working, then roll it out for everyone over a period of time.
Yeah, I would say my final concern is maybe not the right word, but my final problem I have is I fully agree. Like, I think that, you know, the pace of change that's come in with the world of ChatGPT already has kind of overshown like how quick they are as a company to adapt. And, you know, like we were saying not a couple of weeks ago, right? Like, my impressiveness was they didn't just show us that this new functionality was coming of connecting HubSpot, for example, but actually it was there ready to use as soon as the presentation was finished, right? There was no beta, none of this. It was, well, the tool's there, go and have a play, see what it is. Like, and again, for us early adopters, we love doing that. Like, we love being able to play around with it, see what's going to happen. My problem I have though is I think a lot of AI going forward in terms of what good it can do and what benefits it can do is going to be about what data it can have access to. And if I was Sage, Zero, QuickBooks, Free Agent, all of them, right, I probably wouldn't want ChatGPT to have access to that data. You know, there's probably a legal reason why they can't as well. You know, GDPR and all that sort of stuff is probably a factor in it. But I'm thinking just from a competitive point of view, like if you're building your own product, same with Apple, right? Their ecosystem, they've not allowed another Play Store, another App Store on their devices forever, right? And because they want to own that slice of the pie, it's one of those, right? We're so excited about it and the potential of it. Like, I was so impressed by the idea that I could download the transactions that basically hadn't been posted yet, send them over. Again, the accuracy wasn't great, but, you know, concept wise, it was then able to take that data and put it into something that could then file. Like, that sounds great, but that's still quite a manual process to, if it had access to that data already and was able, that's the goal we want to get to, right? At the moment, we're playing around with it. We're proof of concept more than anything else, right? But for this to really get legs and really get traction, then, like, it's got access to HubSpot now, ChatGPT, you'd really want it to have access to Intuit or Sage or, you know, Zero in some way, right? And I just don't see, maybe I'm naive, but I just don't see that that's ever going to happen. Why would they?
I
Right?
think
Why
for
would
the
they
right
open
amount
that
of money, it would.
for the right amount of money? But why would they, if they're building and they're spending all their own money on their jacks and all those other things, right? Would you want that? And the first one to let that happen, don't you think they'll have a massive competitive advantage? But who's going to blink first, and why would you blink first? Do you know what I mean? I think that's what's going on in my head at the moment, of how the landscape's going to look in 3 months' time, 6 months' time, 12, whatever it's going to be, right?
I think if I was OpenAI and I was looking at Sage, QuickBooks, and Zero and stuff, and going, right, who are we going to integrate with? From a business point of view, from OpenAI's point of mind, they'd go for Sage, because that's where all the big boys are. That's where all the big companies are, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sage Intact. Like, if I was OpenAI, I'd want everybody on it on ChatGPT Teams, £25, $25 a go. But, right. Well, if I go to QuickBooks, how big are the teams that run their firms with QuickBooks? Whereas if I go to Sage, I'm not just looking. I'm looking at both the teams of the accounting and bookkeeping firms that use Sage,
Yeah.
but I'm also looking at the businesses that they look after on Sage Intacct. They're big. So if their accountant turns around to me and says, "Oh yeah, your Sage Intacct, that will now report into ChatGPT for you and do all this analytics stuff," like stock control and whatever else it could potentially do. If I was OpenAI, I'd be going for Sage Intacct because that's where the cash is coming in.
Yeah.
The new users.
And I think that's that makes the most sense, right? That investment from OpenAI. But if you were Sage and you've put all this R&D into Sage Copilot, would you want a competitor to come in? That's the other side of the question, isn't it? And I don't know the answer. I don't know if it's, from a consumer point of view, we want access to all. Like you were saying before, like having the ability to pick and choose which is the best one to work with is pro-consumer, isn't it? Like that's what we want. We're in the world, like we just look at Apple, like they're not pro-consumer, but they do it so that they, in theory, the consumer gets the best experience is what their argument, and we can argue black and white if that's right or wrong, can't we? But that's and it's in the same place where they want to own that whole process, because would that be a better experience?
But if you're Sage Intacct and OpenAI comes to you and goes, "Look, we know you've got your own thing going, but we're going to do a Google and Apple on over here," and Google pays Apple $20 billion a year for the privilege of being the search engine on Safari.
Yeah. So they're being rival, basically, right?
Yeah. And they're like, would Sage Intacct say no to that? Probably not. But I mean, that's the other thing I've been using ChatGPT for now for the last few weeks.
Yeah.
I don't use Google anymore. I web search using ChatGPT. Is it as nice and is it as obvious to click here for the link and stuff? No. But you know what? I don't have to scroll through 5 or 6 ads to get to the genuine answer. All the ads are gone. Like, yeah. I'm one of those people that's causing major problems for Google at the moment.
Yeah, the AdSense is going down.
The AdSense revenues are plummeting.
Yeah.
Because ChatGPT and other AI tools are doing the web search. I mean, even Google's own web search now comes up with a summarized thing at the top if you're asking a question. Yeah. So you don't anymore need to go into, oh, that looks like a blog on the topic. Let's read that and try and work it out. It's actually summarized the answer at the top, so I don't need to click on there. But ChatGPT is does the same. It goes, look, here's a summary of the answer. Here's my working out. Here's my summary. But without all the ads in it.
And you would have hoped that their model of having that paid for subscription from day one means they don't need to go for ads, like pay per ads. Time will tell. Maybe it's not sustainable on the model they're on now, but you'd hope that, I mean, Google was always free, and that was, they had to go down an ad. They had no choice, right? Yeah. They had to monetize it in one way or another. And that's why we're in the position we are, right? But hopefully ChatGPT can stay ad free, or,
I think AI tools are going to, like, before Google came along, no one really made money on ads and stuff on. There's none of this AdSense malarkey on search engines and stuff. Like, whereas, Google came along, completely disrupted the market. I think we're going to see another disruption. I think Google's actually leading some of that disruption with their Google summary at the top. But companies that are earning money through ads and stuff like that and click-through rates could be in trouble.
100% agree. Susan says, hello everyone, sorry I'm late, sounds interesting, I'm going to have to listen to the beginning later. Oh, thank you very much, and hope you do. Steph also said there's also a tap to pay on Xero's app now. Yeah, is that definitely in the UK? Is that all up and running?
I think so. I've not used it, I've not seen it,
and I don't know what powers it. Is it their own Xero Pay thing? Something to have a look in. Oh yeah, we would cover that one. I'm with you, Johann. ChatGPT is still my main AI tool of choice. There's Steph. Excellent. Good morning, Kaleem. Hope you are doing well. He's watching live from Pakistan, so hope you are doing well over there. Sue Green says good morning with a sun emoji over there, so hopefully it means it's sunshine. I mean, we've got Oh, it's about to rain here, so yeah, great. Paul says, yeah, still testing Fixer before rolling it out to the team, mostly because I push them all to use Engager for emails. There we are. So that's where you've got to get that change in, haven't you? You'd spoke about disruption there. So speaking of disruption, a little thing called MTD. Now, apparently this news article, sorry, the original aspect of the news has been around for a while. I just didn't see it, but I did notice that the Telegraph has stuck their nose into probably something that they didn't 100% get full understanding of, because they've gone and done a bit of a what they call fake news going forward. Well, I say fake news, I suppose the sources are correct. They're just causing mayhem for the sake of it. So in context,
that's the word you're looking for.
What was that?
It's clickbait. It's not fake news because it's accurate, technically, depending on your sources. But it's a bit clickbaity.
But we're not 100% confident on the sources. So is it? If we're not confident on the sources, does that not contribute to fake news? Anyway, let me talk about what's been put out. So the Telegraph themselves on June the 19th said landlords and businesses to pay £480 to file tax returns to HMRC Digital Push. And my favourite thing is their little photo is HMRC Revenue and Customs. You know the loading bar? It's not quite loaded. So, okay. Basically, and I'll just nutshell what it is. They're saying that per a HMRC blog, small businesses are going to have to pay the cheapest software, £150. I don't agree with that. According to a tax advisory firm, Blick Rottenberg, HMRC does say there are free options available, but experts point out it's not clear whether they will remain free after the trial period expires. Well, we know that's not true as well, because there are free solutions out there that are going to remain free as long as you stick with the right bank, for example, with friends over at Free Agent. HMRC also estimates that training and transactional costs for small business will up to £330. Again, we're not 100% sure on that one. And this means self-employed workers would face at least £480 extra costs to comply with the rules. Now, at first, I was like, oh, come on, HMRC, you can do better than this. But this isn't HMRC saying this. This is another accountancy firm. Now, I would argue they are an accountancy firm that I don't think have too many small businesses, or at least they're a higher end of the small business spectrum, right? Like they are one of the big boys out there. But basically they're saying that the regime was pointless, as the Treasury will receive no additional tax take despite taxpayers reporting burden increases and having to pay this extra money. I mean, this is an accountant saying this, right? Like, how damaging to our push that MTD is going to be a positive thing, and yes, we don't like change, and yes, there's a frustration to it, but actually you're going to get your payments in easier. You're going to have much better time on reporting on your work. Getting a mortgage should be easier. Things like that. Like, they're the positive things that we should be talking about at this point as a profession. And then this article, and we'll make sure the links in the thing below. But this article goes on and on and on of all the negativity around MTD, all the costs that are related to it, all of the extra burden that's going to come through. And yes, there are extra costs, and yes, there is extra burden. But surely, as an industry, we need to try and put a better spin on it. Yeah, it doesn't have to be a positive,
Let's
glory
quantify this amount first of all, okay?
Yeah.
So they said it's going to cost them how much?
£480 in total, which is £330 worth of training and transitional costs, and £150 minimum for software.
I'll play devil's advocate. I don't think it was going to cost anything. If accountants and bookkeepers are savvy about this, yeah, you could do it for free for your clients. You get them on
no, sorry. This isn't for the client. This isn't for the accountant. This is what but self-employed workers.
With the right advice, you can save them £480 now, right?
Yeah.
You go to your client and say, that Telegraph article about £480? Don't worry, it's not going to cost for the training and the software. Don't worry, that won't cost you anything. You're going to open a metal bank account, and you're going to get Free Agent for free, or you're going to go and use Sage, and that's got a free option. There's other free options available on the HMRC recognized list, not approved, recognized. Yeah. And then you're going to punt those clients over to those softwares to do the training, because they'll all do the training free of charge. Like, so it's not going to cost them 480 quid because the software and the training that they've just said is going to cost 480 quid is available for free if you've got the right setup. Like Sage and Free Agent, great help centers, great resource hubs, etc. So if you want to play devil's advocate, you could go, well, no, it's not going to cost that. If you're going to do the training yourself as the accountant or bookkeeper, then yes, I'm not convinced 330 quid is enough for the training because it's going to take several sessions and support emails and calls, etc. over the next year. But who says we've got to do that? Like, let the big software companies foot the support bill.
Yeah.
And
we've got to remember these clients aren't VAT registered at this point, right? So the bookkeeping doesn't have to be absolutely perfection, right?
Exactly. Like, I did a Free Agent webinar a couple of weeks back and got a lot of stick because I said, I think we're going to end up charging about £45 per quarterly filing. And then our usual tax filing for the annual tax return. And they're like, oh, you can't do it that cheap. How are you managing it that cheap? Blah, blah, blah. It's like, no. I said for the filing.
Yeah.
Not for the bookkeeping, not for the software. That's just for me to review and file the return.
That's on top of what you're already charging, basically, right? That's what
yes. Or the clients are going to do their own bookkeeping, their own stuff. I'll then use Xenon to give it a health score. And we've got in our standards of service that we will not file any tax returns that have got a health score of 84% or less. And we give them a report from Xenon going, look, this is what all your problems are. Either go and fix it or you pay us to fix it.
Yeah.
And then we get paid to do the work and then we do the quarterly return. We are absolutely shocking in our industry for hearing a number and not digging into what makes up that number. So I got a load of stick because it's like £45, that's too cheap. It's like, well, is it too cheap for me to look through the numbers and press file? No, it's not. Like that's what we charge for a VAT return.
Yeah.
But it's based on the fact that we've already done, or the client's already done, good standards and quality of bookkeeping using a tool that we use ourselves, like QuickBooks Xero or Free Agent. Like, when we start seeing these headline numbers, we need to dig into it and work out what makes up that number. Now, I've got clients out there who I would happily charge 330 quid in training for, and they would happily pay that, and that'll be it, job done. I've got other clients that will need 4 times that amount of support. I've got other clients that won't need any support because we do it all anyway. So they're not going to have to pay a training fee because we're not training them on anything. Like, we need to stop looking at the clickbait and the hype and the fake news and just plow on, focused on us and our firm. And there's always going to be someone cheaper.
Yeah.
But then the client won't realize what is and isn't included.
Yeah, 100%. And I think the clickbait bit is exactly the bit that's frustrated me, I think, because this is another accounting firm. I think when I first looked at this and I saw, HMRC's report and everything else, you're like, okay, whatever. HMRC are just whatever. But an actual, tax advisory firm, they call themselves, saying that the cheapest paid software to the market is £150. Well, that's just inaccurate.
It's not
right?
true. Like what's QuickBooks self-employed? 70 quid a year?
Yeah.
77.
This is supposed to be aimed at landlords, right? As well, like landlords and businesses to pay. Well, Hammock's cheapest one is even cheaper than that, right? Like there are £150. Who puts the annual cost these days to a subscription? Like, we would say it's £10 per month or whatever the figure's going to be, right? Like,
you don't turn around and say, oh, to watch every film and thing you want to watch on Netflix is 150 quid a year.
Exactly.
Or 240 quid a year now.
Yeah.
Like, we just go, that's £18 a month.
Yeah, exactly. And like, that's the terminology that every one of the clients that this is aimed at is going to understand. It's a monthly fee. It costs them this, right? Just throw in this £150 plus 330. Like, it's just so frustrating because all they're trying to do here is, like you said, get clicks, go through there. That's all they're doing, but they're putting the wrong narrative.
This article is probably more targeted at people. It's not targeted at you and me and our community.
Exactly.
It's not necessarily even targeted to clients, right? it's targeted at people that probably don't even use accountants and bookkeepers.
Yeah.
And do it all themselves.
Yeah. And now they've got to pay apparently £480 extra for their privilege.
Yeah, which they don't. If they can go and self-learn on a software and they go to HMRC's recognised list and find a free solution they're happy with, it doesn't cost them anything, does it?
Yeah. It's just so frustrating. The fact that it's in the public domain, and that's what we've got to fight against now, right? Like, we're going to have clients who's going to see that, or potential new clients, and because they'll see that £480, then I've got to pay for an account as well. I can't afford that. That's how they're going to see it. Is really, a LinkedIn user says, very interested job today, already using a lot of this but interested to hear how you are both using both ChatGPT and Microsoft Copilot. Mainly because I was forced to use both, so that's why I'm finding ways to use it, because Microsoft Copilot you pay in advance. But I think I will.
A loss. Right, that's it, done. Right, that job.
It's just so convenient to have it there. I'm going to continue to pay for it. I think it's just one of those. It pays for itself, sort of thing. Just being in Teams and recording that meeting, like, done. Like, everything else is a Brucey bonus on top of that. Free agent free if you have a Metal account. Exactly right. Yeah. Just got to get yourself in that Metal account first. Is sometimes the hardest one, because they still don't allow rental properties, which is really strange to me.
Yeah, and they also don't allow you to have more than one Metal account, which is a bit of a frustration of mine.
Yeah. Zero Simple is £7 a month. £7 a month. Yeah. Excellent. Brilliant. Not sure for what functionality, but that's a conversation for another topic. QuickFile is also free and a good piece of software, self-employed. Yeah, there's some really good software opportunities out there. Coconut or whatever they're called now, there's those sort of solutions as well, right?
Yeah, counting up.
And I'd argue QuickBooks Sole Trader is worth every penny if it's doing the bookkeeping, like automations in there. Like, that's what you've got to decide. Am I happy to do the bookkeeping for myself for this price, or do I want AI to do it for me for that price? Like, that's pro-consumer, isn't it? There's loads of choices out there. They can choose which is right for them. As the accountants, we just need to support it. I mean, it's a topic for another day. How we're going to support it is going to be difficult.
I think we probably just expect higher standards from the Daily Telegraph, don't we? Like, I suppose that so there's a local social media news company in Edinburgh called Edinburgh Live, the most poorly researched, fact-checked and pointless articles in the world. But if they'd come up with this article, I'd have expected them not to have researched it properly and fact-checked it all and looked at the industry and very easily worked out there's free solutions here. Why am I telling people it's £150 a year?
Right.
But Daily Telegraph, you expect a higher standard of journalism. Like, they'd have fact-checked this, they'd have looked into it, and they'd have gone, yes, this information on the HMRC website stacks up.
Yeah, especially when this is behind a paywall. So if I want to...
It cost you £1 to read that, didn't it?
Yeah, if I want to read this drivel, I've got to pay for it. Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah. It's just frustrating, isn't it? And again, all it means is we've now got to do more. And
HMRC have got to do more. Like, now HMRC are going to have a load of phone calls and a load of conversations with people about this £480, and because it makes it out that you're going to pay HMRC that money. Like, it doesn't read that you've got to go and get it just if only everyone was to the same standard of journalism as we were. That's the problem.
I don't know if we should be the standard. Where's my apology corner again?
Maybe we'll see that next week in the Daily Telegraph.
What apology corner? Yeah.
We'd like to apologise for this.
The accountant called us out. Oh, brilliant. All right, final bit then. Social media of the week comes back, but it's not quite a positive social media of the week. I'm not going to say the name of this person because I don't want to give them the credibility of having eyeballs on their account. But we're going to finish off the day. In fact, have I got a little banner for this? Have I got a social media? Did Lizzie make me one? No, just a question.
Now you've only got 4 minutes, so no ranting for 20 hours, because I know this one you could go for a while. That you could filibuster on this for quite a long time.
Okay, so this social media was basically, as a business owner, if you want to make your life more painful around numbers, then use QuickBooks. and then I'll paraphrase the rest. Basically, they're saying that if you want to be slower, and they even say here that maybe you love to try and hold on to past magic, a bit like horses that clung, but a bit like those who clung to horses once cars arrived. Then why not use QuickBooks? Because QuickBooks has bank reconciliation built directly in, and they go on to say how it takes them back to 1995 where they had to do bank reconciliations. Okay, so the reason I want to bring this to everyone's attention is I feel like this person's completely missed the point. Just question to you, Jan. It's a bit old-fashioned here, but do you like breaks?
Do I like what?
Breaks. Do you find them useful? They're old-fashioned, right? But they're quite useful, aren't they? Breaks
on the car, on
anything. Yeah.
Right. They've got their uses.
Yeah. What about parachutes? They're old-fashioned, but you quite like them. Yeah.
If I've got to jump out of something at a height, then yes.
Yeah. Basically, a bank reconciliation is that safety net, right? Is that opportunity for you to make sure or be comfortable that whatever you've posted, whatever you've got in there is correct. How can someone have a rant about having that safety net that's there, having the ability to be able to be confident in the figures you've got? And don't forget, the bit that this guy completely misunderstands is that bank reconciliation is not just a tick box, say, yeah, thank you, I've got that right, and that bank connects to that and that agrees to that, but actually gives you an opportunity to go back to that point at any point in time. If an adjustment's made to that prior period, it's going to tell you that it's right, wrong, and how to get back to it. That's a bank reconciliation, right? And especially when Xero is building a bank reconciliation tool at this point, because the whole point of this comment is, why would you ever move away from Xero when we don't have bank reconciliations? Because everything we do is absolutely perfect. I can't even, right, well, we've got 2 minutes left, so I can't even get into this rant, right? But I am so angry that someone in the industry can be so blind, like blinkered to a software that has this, they're telling you can jump on an exercise machine and fly around the country at the moment, right? Have you seen their new advert where you're flying around the country based on thingy? That's the Lululand that these people are in. Bank reconciliation.
I don't think we should pick fault at adverts. Can we just remember the chicken advert?
Yeah, I know.
Right.
Glass houses and all that.
Stones in glass houses. Let's not pick fault at adverts.
But bank reconciliation is not a reason to dislike a piece of software. Anyway, I mean, what's your quick 1 minute summary of this absolute trouble?
Bank reconciliation is a very important tool, and it's a lot easier in QuickBooks than it is in Xero because it's built into QuickBooks. And I can't remember the last time we did a bank rec for a client that's got more than, say, £100,000 a year turnover, where we've not had an issue where the bank feed's dropped, it's doubled up on the transactions, it's missed a transaction. Like, it's an important.
Client added a transaction by accident.
Regardless of whether it's built into Xero, QuickBooks, Free Agent, whatever, it's an important process in the accounting and bookkeeping systems and processes that we follow to deliver the work accurately. Regardless of whether your software has it built in or not, bank reconciliation, I mean, isn't that what audits a key flagstone of an audit is? You've told me you've got this amount of money in your bank, prove it. Like, it's an important process in whether you're doing VAT, taxes, accounts, bookkeeping each month, whatever it is, it's an important process. Whether you can do it built into QuickBooks or outside of Xero in a spreadsheet, whatever it is, it's an important process that we should not be dismissing and devaluing.
100%. Couldn't have said it better myself, and much more calmly put than my steam coming out my ears was suggesting I was going to go down a rant. So appreciate that. Cheryl says, isn't the proper bank recs in QuickBooks the thing that people prefer over Xero bank rec? Yep, exactly right. And isn't Xero trying to replicate the exact same thing?
Is it in beta testing or something in America?
It's in America, isn't it? Yeah. Banklex and QBO is what I love about it over Zero. Breathe, Aaron, breathe. Thanks, Paul. Steph says, I'd love to have seen the steam coming from Aaron's Ian when he read it, when he was coming up with those. I was so close to replying, then I thought, no, I'm going to be a better person. I'm just going to berate it all over a podcast instead. Is that class as a bad person? I'll let you decide. It was written by a Zero cult member. Exactly right. So yeah. Oh, right. Today has been a very.
Are you genuinely telling me that individual does not check the bank balances against the bank statement when they do a set of accounts?
Yeah, because apparently here with Zero, it's literally one click on a button, boom. No need to do things twice for the sake of it. No need to check for the sake of it. Who needs to check the bank balances right for the sake of it? Oh, you know what I mean? Like, oh, whatever. They'll have processes in place outside of Zero to fix it. I fully believe that they will have very clean accounts and they'll do it absolutely right. But they are having to do this outside of Zero because Zero doesn't give them that functionality. I rest my case, Honor. I rest my case. Right. What have you got planned for this week, Jan? Anything exciting?
Well, I like to ease myself back into things nice and slowly. So Wednesday, I'm going down to London for the IFA conference in London on Thursday. And then instead of just going home, I thought I'd go via Solihull and attend the SEMA Member in Practice conference, which is Friday, Saturday, and head home Saturday night or something.
So you get that really nice train down.
Catch up.
That nice train down, the LNER service down. Lovely.
Bliss.
Yeah, an okay train back to Birmingham. It's okay. It's not great. And then you got that really not as good train back to Edinburgh. Yep. So you really messed up in terms of the train situation there. But
in all seriousness, though, I'm really looking forward to going to 2 conferences that I've never done before. So that'll be really good. I will be there with on the tax account stand at both events. So come over and say hello if you are attending.
Amazing. Look, it'll be good for you.
What about you?
This week is just purely getting my head down. Got so much to get done. Some big projects in the background that we'll do a bit of due diligence for and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, head down, get stuff done, and get ready for next week. Back to Formula 1 next week. Weekend would be good. Yep. Looking forward to that. Alrighty then. Okay, cool. Right. Well, thank you everybody for joining us on this rant-filled, steam-filled episode of basically us getting frustrated with things on the internet, which hey, that's what this is all about. But thanks for joining us. We'll see you soon next week for the same time, same place, all of that sort of stuff. Don't forget to keep an eye on our channels as well. We've got some amazing bit of content dropping from the world of Accountex, so keep an eye on that. Pit Stop Podcast and more. And that's it. We'll see you all bright and early this time next week on a Monday morning. So it's a bye from me.
And a goodbye from me.